Welcome back to the Talk of Carol podcast. I am your host, Hunter DeMarcy. If you enjoyed listening and watching my first two episodes on YouTube and Spotify, I would like to thank you. I would also like to apologize for the delay of recording videos. I have been very busy. Last month was a very busy month for me, but I am now back and ready to do another episode. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because instead of getting somebody else here with me, I am going to be doing an episode where I talk about my podcast, who I am, and why I am doing this and what I am doing with it. So, anyway, let's jump right into it. So, as I've said, my name is Hunter DeMarcy. I am the host of the Talk of Carol podcast, as you've already known. I started this podcast back in March, and ever since then, I've had a really good time doing this. So, what this podcast is it's a show where I interview people who are in our community here in Carroll County, people who have businesses or people who are executives at emergency services or disability support services here in Carroll County. And I also will interview entertainers such as athletes, magicians, maybe some musicians. I'm just figuring this out as I go, but I am just learning to figure out how to do this as I've never done this before. I started this a couple months ago. I am a person with autism, which is a disability that gets support through DDA. I received two services from DDA: the ARC of Carroll County, which is my living support, and Target Community Educational Services, where I go for day program and employment supports. And I started this podcast to help the community in three different ways. One, I wanted to get more involved in my community. Second, I wanted to improve the already strong relationship between the neurotypical community and the neurodivergent community here in Carroll County. And I wanted to help advocate for my fellow people with neurodivergence here in Westminster or Carroll County. The reason why I use neurodivergence in this podcast is because I do not believe that the things that my friends who get supports have are disabilities, because it never really stops them from living the life that they want to live. I am not offended by the term disability, but I do not believe that it is a correct term, because you could be in a wheelchair, but you could still move around with your wheelchair. You can be deaf, but still communicate through sign language. You can be blind, but still read Braille. But I truly believe that the only disability that there is in life is a bad attitude. And the reason why I say that is because a bad attitude is the only thing that's going to keep you from going anywhere, because having a bad attitude will cost you jobs, it will cost you friends, it will cost you the ability to enjoy life as you should want to enjoy your life. And the beauty about that is that your attitude is your choice. So the only disability in life is a choice that you make, because an attitude is how you perceive the world. It's not something that you're born with. You're not coming out and just hating life. It's something that you develop as you go through your life. You can look at things in your life that you go through and say, oh, this happened. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Or you can look at it and says, this happened in my life, but because of this happening in my life, it made me more thankful for the good I have in my life right now. So it's your choice. You can look at it in those ways. So back to the purposes of this show. I wanted to get more involved in my community because last year I did a show called Thriving Together, The Power of Inclusion, which was a documentary that focused on myself and 3 other members of the neurodivergent community. And when I saw how big it was in my community, knowing how big of a platform I was going to have, I wanted to get more involved in my community and continue to inspire and advocate. And that's how I got the idea to do this podcast. It was completely on my own idea. It was something that I thought I was really passionate about. Advocacy is my passion because I believe it is what I am here for, why I am on this earth. And I thought that this was a great other way to go about doing that. So, second thing I want to talk about, a purpose, is strengthening an already strong relationship between a neurodivergent and a neurotypical community. I feel like our community is already strongly knit, and I do believe that we already have a strong community with the neurotypical community. But I feel like just like anything else, there's always room for growth. There's always room for people to learn how to communicate with people with disabilities, and there's always room for us to learn more. We can be experts in any kind of field, but just because you're an expert doesn't mean that there's not any more things that you have to learn. There's all different types of things that we can learn as we go through our lives. We can say that we're experts, but not everything is that black and white. There's a lot of gray area, especially in the neurodivergent community. And that's a part of the reason why I want to continue to strengthen that relationship, so that way the neurotypical community understands that us people with neurodivergence are not that black and white. And the third option is to, not exactly option, it's third purpose of this show. Third purpose of this show is to advocate and inspire. I want to take this time to inspire people in both communities who might not really understand both sides. Some of us go through our days, we don't really have a whole lot of experience with people who are neurodivergent. And that's what I want to continue to expand upon. I want to open people's hearts and open people's minds to the types of things that people deal with on a given day, and how different the neurodivergent community is from the neurotypical community. I definitely believe I want to inspire people to get more involved in their community. And I also want to help my participants in the neurodivergent community to explore their interests. For people who are really into sports, I will interview athletes just to get to know what goes on in their pregame or pre-practice preparations, and use that to teach my fellow participants in these programs for people who are neurodivergent, because a lot of us are really into sports, and I think that is something that my fellow participants and friends would enjoy learning about. I would also like to inspire my friends to get into the community by just knowing who people are in this community and really getting to know them, even if they haven't really necessarily met them. But once they go out into the community, they might say, "Oh, no, oh, I saw you on that podcast," and they would be like, "Oh yeah, thanks for watching that. It meant a lot to me." And those and that would also help build that gap between the neurodivergent and the neurotypical community, and and it would also inspire the people in the neurotypical community to get more involved in the neurodivergent community, because there's so much out there for both people. So a little bit more about myself. I am 25 years old, and I was diagnosed with autism when I was 3 years old. And I still get services from these programs, but I felt like I've come a long way. I am able to cook meals for myself. I am able to do my own shopping. I'm able to do a lot of things for myself that maybe some people in the neurodivergent community may not be able to do. But I've also had a lot of ambition to achieve more things in my life, whereas some people in my neurodivergent community might just be happy with where they are right now. They might enjoy having a very big support system of people to help them with certain things. So it's different for everyone. For me, I've always been wanting to be more self-reliant. And I also think that's a very big reason why I feel like I'm a good person to share these stories and bridge this community and connect both communities in this way. Another reason why I feel that I am a good person for this bridge building is because I have lots of experience in both the neurotypical community and the neurodivergent community. I have been to high school with a lot of neurodivergent people. When I was in high school, I was not in any special programs or had any real significant supports for my autism when I was in high school. And I connected so much with the neurodivergent community and neurotypical community when I was in high school through the Best Buddies program, where I was the buddy director for the second half of my high school experience for junior and senior year. And that was really impactful for me because it helped me to connect with both communities. But I was more involved in a neurotypical community back when I was in high school. And I feel that that's why I'm the best person for these stories, because I have so much connection with the neurotypical and neurodivergent community. I also went to college, which isn't very common for people in the neurodivergent realm. And not only did I go to college, I graduated with all A's and B's. So I have achieved a lot more than I thought I could have back when I was in sixth grade or even when I was a freshman in high school. If someone had told me back when I was in high school that I would go to college and get all A's and B's and be able to inspire both the neurotypical community and the neurodivergent community, I would have been pretty skeptical of that. But with the way things have gone, I'm very happy with how things have turned out. And I also work at North Carroll Community School, a small private school here in Carroll County, who I just interviewed with my president of my school in my last episode. And that is really impactful for me because my my disability service, Target Community Educational Services, is one of, if not North Carroll Community School's biggest community partner. And my executive director said that part of the reason why they have this relationship with Target is to teach their students that, hey, not everybody is like us. So they want to have their students experience more in that community. They wanted to teach their students about the neurodivergent community. Whereas at North Carroll Community School, most of them are neurotypical, and they don't really have much experience with people who are autistic like me, or people who have other types of neurodivergence. And it's great for the students and my participants at North Carroll Community School because it builds the relationship between both communities. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to help out strengthening the relationship between the neurodivergent community and the neurotypical community. And one of the things I would like to do in this podcast is to show the experience of the neurotypical community face on. And one of the things I'm going to do for that is hopefully interview all three of my co-stars from the Thriving Together Power of Inclusion documentary that we did last year that came out in December. And hear from their point of view what they are looking for when it comes to what they need, or what their emotional needs are, what their communication needs are, and how it is best to help provide services for them. And I, as an advocate, would like to explain to you what I do as far as advocacy goes. When I'm at Target in the Day program, I kind of like to act like the big brother towards my peers and listen to any complaints that they might have or any issues that they might have getting along with staff members or even other fellow participants. I also tend to help the staff with coming up with ideas of how we can make the services more fun and how we can make our days more meaningful and more impactful. And I also help them out whenever they ask me to help out with a project or a activity that they want to do with participants as far as learning goes. I am also on my day program's Target's new advocacy board for participants. This was an idea that I came up with to Dr. Ramsey, our CEO and president, who I hope to interview in the coming months in this podcast. And he was so sold on this idea, but it took a while for us to get the ball rolling on this because businesses have a lot of other things that they need to take care of that are on their plate. And it finally happened, and we had our first meeting last month. What this program does is it's a board of participants that want to help make Target more meaningful and more impactful for our participants. We would be planning events, social events, such as formal events like a spring formal or a seasonal formal. And we also will be planning events where we can meet, where participants can meet their advocacy board members. There's about 9 of us, I would say, on the board right now. But I'm really excited for what this board's going to do in the future. So, outside of this podcast, I am a hydration manager over at Stevenson University for football and basketball. I also did lacrosse for 2 years, but after this past season, I decided that the 3-sport commitment was a lot for me, so I decided to remove lacrosse from my plate and stick with football and basketball. Football is definitely my favorite sport, and my favorite professional team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm also very passionate about Marvel movies, DC movies. I also watch Star Wars too. Take that as you will. I also play a lot of video games, mainly Lego video games, sports video games, and action video games. I also play a lot of video games on my phone. I play video games on my iPad. Not so much on my laptop, though. I'll play like Run 3 or Winter Labyrinth puzzle game on another website. But that's really more for my interests. But besides my interests, I also do a lot of things out in my community. I am a very extroverted person, and spending time with my friends is my favorite activity. My friends are all staff members at Target Community Educational Services, but I don't really look at it that way. I know that there are some boundaries that can't really be crossed, but I am very respectful of those boundaries, and my friends respect my boundaries too. I am hoping to spend more time with my fellow participants at Target, but their staff hours are a little bit different from mine, so I'm still hoping that we can at least come to some common schedule where we can go play trivia at Stratosphere Social together. I go there every Thursday night to play Stratosphere Social. Sometimes I'll have my friends from the Arc. Sometimes I'll have my friends from Target. I just feel that is a great place to go to be social with my friends. And I have friends that work there at Stratosphere Social that I like to talk to when I am there. I also enjoy going shopping. I enjoy fishing. I enjoy mini golf and going to museums and zoos and aquariums. I am a very big fan of animals. I have a pet dog at my mom's house, even though he's technically a family dog, but I was there when he was adopted. So he is still considered my dog because I was still living with my mom when he got adopted. I live in a group home at the Arc, owned by the Arc of Carroll County, and that has been a great experience for me. I am feeling like an independent person. I still have things that my house needs for me to continue being able to get my benefits. But besides that, I feel that things have been going great, and I really enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing puzzles. I enjoy the freedoms that I have as a person who is neurodivergent but can also do a lot for himself and is very self-reliant. I do a lot of cooking for myself, although I'm not very passionate about cooking, but it's more of a chore that I have to do. I feel like things are going great right now, but I would still like to live alone in my own apartment and maybe get married someday, but that's not really a priority right now because I enjoy so much great time with my friends. And that is about it on that end. But to get more personal, my biggest goals from a personal standpoint are to be able to become more independent. I always feel like there's room for that. I definitely want to be able to travel a lot. I want to also get more employment. My jobs coach and I are working through that at Target to help me find more jobs throughout the week because my job at North Carolina Community School is only 1 day a week. But I want to work at least 3 days a week total and spend 2 days a week at Target. And I also want to broaden my friendship circles. I always feel like there's room for that. Even though I have some best friends, I always want to get to learn new things and to meet new people. And that's why I am always so extroverted. I want to be able to do so much with my life that I'm already doing right now. But I also want to do more. I want to help my participants, which I am already doing. I want to get a job as a DSP in one of these services for people with neurodivergence. The biggest thing that's going to keep me from that is not having a driver's license. But if I can get a customized position, then I would absolutely love that. That is my biggest goal because I feel that as a person who has had services and who gets services from DDA, I feel like I am a good person to inspire other DSPs and participants in the day programs. And I also want to expand my horizons as to other roles that I can work in. I could work in a role as a caregiver in a nursing home. I could work as an activities consultant in a senior center. But no matter what I do, I always want my job to be in the service of working with others and helping people. Because I have become so grateful for the help that people have gotten and given me over the years, and I feel like I'm a great person to give that to others. I've always wanted to help people enjoy their quality of life. That's my biggest thing. And as far as sports go, I am a hydration manager for football and basketball. I definitely want to make it to the NFL someday. I got a day working with the Ravens at one of their practice facilities last year. And even though that was a 1 day thing, I would still like to explore what more could happen in that realm, which is why I reached out to the athletic trainer over at the Ravens to talk with my football coach about getting me involved in that to see if there's other opportunities this year. I haven't heard anything back from that, but I am hoping to hear back. If not this year, then maybe next year. But even if that doesn't happen, I am very, very happy with where I am right now. I feel that I am in a great place in my life where I can talk about these things. And I also believe that because of my experiences, I am a great person to talk about these things. So that is actually just about it for today. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much watching and listening to this podcast as much as I enjoyed recording this podcast today. And I hope to see you guys very soon in the next episode. Thank you so much.